You walk into that boardroom wearing your best suit, but within 60 seconds, everyone knows you do not belong there. Last week, I watched a man stride into Le Bernardin wearing a $20,000 Brioni suit, only to snap his fingers at the sommelier like he was calling a taxi. The entire dining room went silent, not in admiration, in second-hand embarrassment. Here is the brutal truth nobody wants to tell you. Your etiquette mistakes are broadcasting your social class louder than your bank account ever could. You can wear Tom Ford from head to toe, drive an Aston Martin, and carry a Patek Philippe. But if you cannot master the invisible language of power, you are just an expensive impostor. As Oscar Wilde once observed, you can never be overdressed or overeducated, but you can absolutely be under-refined. The real elite, the ones who own the companies, not just work for them, operate by a different code. They understand that true power whispers, while insecurity shouts. Moda no è luxo, è poder. Fashion is not luxury, it is power. But power without proper etiquette is just expensive theatre that fools no one who matters. If you want to be elegant and powerful, if you want to transform your presence into profit, hit that subscribe button and activate notifications now, because what I'm about to share will either elevate your status or confirm why you are still getting passed over for the corner office. Mistake number 1. Your phone addiction screams poverty mindset. Picture this scene. You are at Nobu, trying to close a 7-figure deal. Your phone buzzes, you glance at it. In that split second, you just announced to everyone at that table that you lack the self-control of actual wealth. When Jeff Bezos sits across from world leaders, do you think he checks his notifications? When Warren Buffett negotiates billion-dollar acquisitions, is he worried about Instagram likes? I once witnessed a man in a perfectly tailored Savile Row suit destroy a potential partnership because he could not resist checking his Apple Watch during dinner. The client, old money, generational wealth, simply smiled, excused himself, and never returned the man's calls. 6 months later, that deal went to someone who understood that presence commands premium pricing. The wealthy understand something you missed. True power means being unreachable when it serves your purpose. Your constant phone checking advertises your addiction to validation and your complete inability to control your impulses. It screams that you are still hungry for attention instead of confident in your worth. Here is your power move. Phone face down, silent mode, complete focus. Unless your wife is delivering your heir, or there is a genuine family emergency, nothing is more important than the person investing their time in you. This single change will immediately elevate how people perceive your authority and emotional intelligence. But phone addiction is just the surface level. The next mistake cuts deeper into your character and reveals something far more damaging. Mistake number 2. Poor communication reveals your true education. Every email you send is a permanent record of your intelligence and breeding. When you write, "I'll get back to you," instead of, "I will respond promptly," you just telegraph that you either lack proper education or simply do not care enough to present yourself correctly. Either way, you lost credibility you will never recover. Watch how the real elite communicate. Warren Buffett writes letters to shareholders that are studied in business schools worldwide. Every word chosen deliberately, every sentence crafted for maximum impact. When Elon Musk writes on social media, regardless of controversy, his grammar is impeccable because he understands that language precision reflects thought precision. I know a venture capitalist who automatically rejects any business proposal containing grammatical errors. His reasoning: if they cannot master basic English, how can they master complex business operations? Harsh? Perhaps. Effective? His portfolio is worth 9 figures. Your written communication is your intellectual calling card. It opens doors or slams them shut before you ever get to explain yourself. Master this fundamental skill, because in a world where first impressions happen through screens, your grammar is often your first handshake. Speaking of handshakes, let me tell you about a mistake that will destroy your credibility faster than a bad investment. Mistake number 3. Response time signals your market value. In the world of high-stakes business, response time is currency. When someone important reaches out and you take 3 days to respond, you are essentially announcing that they rank below your Netflix queue on your priority list. This is not just poor manners, this is economic suicide. Consider this. When Mark Cuban receives a business proposal through Shark Tank, entrepreneurs wait anxiously for his response because they understand that time equals opportunity. The same principle applies to your professional relationships. Your response time communicates your perceived value and your respect for the relationship. I watched a young executive lose a board position because he consistently took 48 hours to respond to urgent emails. The board members interpreted this as either incompetence or arrogance. Either way, someone more responsive got the role and the 7-figure compensation package that came with it. The powerful have systems. They delegate, they prioritize, they respond strategically and swiftly. Set up protocols to manage your communications efficiently. Use assistance if necessary, but never let response time accidentally communicate disrespect to people who control your future opportunities. However, response time means nothing if you are making this next critical error that instantly reveals your insecurity. Mistake number 4. Weak handshakes. Broadcast amateur status. Your handshake is the first physical assessment of your confidence and power. When you extend a limp, lifeless grip, you are essentially handing over a business card that reads, "I am not to be taken seriously." When you crush someone's hand like you are trying to prove something, you advertise insecurity disguised as strength. Watch footage of any G7 summit. Notice how world leaders shake hands. Firm pressure, confident duration, direct eye contact. They understand that this micro-interaction sets the tone for everything that follows. A handshake is a negotiation preview. It tells the other person whether they are dealing with someone who commands respect or someone who hopes to earn it. I once saw a perfectly dressed man lose a potential client partnership during the introductory handshake. His grip was so weak that the client actually looked down at their hand afterward, as if checking for damage. The meeting continued out of politeness, but the deal was dead before anyone sat down. Master this fundamental social skill: firm pressure matching theirs, web-to-web contact, 2 to 3 pumps, direct eye contact, simultaneous release. Practice until it becomes automatic, because you only get one chance to make that first physical impression. But even perfect handshakes cannot save you from this next devastating mistake that reveals your desperate need for validation. Mistake number 5. Interrupting others exposes your desperation. When you constantly interrupt conversations, you are essentially wearing a neon sign that reads, "I am more concerned with being heard than being respected." True power listens before it speaks. True wealth gathers information before making decisions. True elegance allows others to finish their thoughts before responding. Study any interview with successful leaders like Tim Cook or Satya Nadella. They listen completely, ask thoughtful questions, then respond with precision. They never rush to speak because they understand that real power comes from understanding the full picture before acting on incomplete information. Interrupting makes you appear desperate for attention and incapable of patience, 2 qualities that disqualify you from serious consideration for leadership roles. It also prevents you from gathering the intelligence you need to make impressive responses that demonstrate your sophistication. Train yourself to pause after others finish speaking. Count to 2 before responding. This simple discipline will transform how others perceive your emotional intelligence and leadership potential. Speaking of emotional intelligence, this next mistake reveals a shocking lack of social awareness that will cost you access to influential circles. Mistake number 6. Terrible table manners expose your origins. Business deals happen over meals. Relationships develop during dinner conversations. When you bite into a dinner roll like it is a hamburger or speak with food in your mouth, you are telling everyone at that table that you do not belong in sophisticated company, regardless of what you paid for your suit. I watched a man destroy a potential acquisition deal at Daniel in New York because he held his fork like a shovel and talked through an entire course with food visible in his mouth. The seller, generational wealth, Ivy League educated, politely finished dinner and declined the offer the next morning. $20 million lost because of poor table manners. The elite dine differently because they understand that meals are performance art. Continental fork usage, proper bread etiquette, appropriate wine service acknowledgement. These details signal that you have been trained for success, not just dressed for it. Learn proper dining protocols. Wait until everyone is served. Keep your napkin on your lap during the meal. Tear bread into small pieces. Never reach across the table. These skills are your passport to social circles where real wealth and influence congregate. But table manners are just preparation for this next critical error that immediately broadcasts your amateur status. Mistake number 7. Inappropriate attire screams impostor. A poorly fitted $5,000 suit will always look cheaper than a perfectly tailored $800 suit. When your jacket pulls across the chest or your trousers pool around your ankles, you are advertising that you either cannot afford proper tailoring or do not understand its importance. Either way, you lost credibility before anyone hears you speak. Study photographs of men like Ralph Lauren or Giorgio Armani. Their clothing fits like it was painted on their bodies. Not because they spend more money, but because they understand that fit communicates competence and attention to detail, qualities that transfer to business judgment. I know a private equity executive who judges potential partners based solely on their shoe condition and trouser length. His reasoning: if they cannot manage their appearance details, they cannot manage my investments. His fund has generated consistent double-digit returns for 15 years. Invest in relationships with skilled tailors. Learn your exact measurements. Understand appropriate dress codes for different power levels. Your clothing should enhance your message, not distract from it or contradict it. However, perfect clothing cannot compensate for this next character flaw that reveals everything about your true nature. Mistake number 8. Disrespecting service staff reveals your soul. How you treat people who cannot directly benefit your career reveals everything about your character and breeding. When you are rude to waiters, dismissive of hotel staff, or impatient with service workers, you are showing your true nature to everyone watching, and they are always watching. The truly powerful understand that elegance means treating everyone with dignity, regardless of their position. Richard Branson built Virgin by treating every employee like family. When potential partners see you being gracious to those who serve you, they trust that you will honor agreements when convenient. When they see you being dismissive or rude, they assume you will betray them when profitable. I witnessed a billionaire real estate developer quietly observe how a potential partner treated restaurant staff during a business dinner. The partner was condescending to the waiter and dismissive of the busboy. The developer smiled politely, finished dinner, and invested with someone else. $50 million in development capital went elsewhere because character failed the test. Your treatment of service staff is a character examination that everyone around you is grading. Pass it with grace or fail it and wonder why opportunities evaporate. But character alone cannot save you from this next fundamental error that destroys trust before you even begin speaking. Mistake number 9. Chronic lateness signals chaos management. When you consistently arrive late, you are announcing to everyone that you cannot manage time, priorities, or commitments. If you cannot handle your own schedule, why would anyone trust you with their money, their projects, or their reputation? Successful people understand that time is the only truly finite resource. When someone like Bill Gates schedules meetings, they start precisely on time because he respects that everyone's time has measurable value. When you waste other people's time, you are essentially stealing their most precious asset, I know an investment banker who automatically excludes anyone who arrives more than 5 minutes late from consideration for major deals. His philosophy? Time management is money management. Poor one, poor both. His clients include Fortune 100 companies and sovereign wealth funds. Build buffer time into your schedule. Plan to arrive 10 minutes early to every important engagement. If unforeseen circumstances create delays, communicate immediately with specific explanations and realistic arrival times. Your reputation for reliability directly impacts your access to elite opportunities. Time management is power management. Master one, master both. Yet even perfect timing cannot save you from this final, devastating mistake that instantly broadcasts your intellectual limitations. Mistake number 10. Excessive profanity demonstrates vocabulary poverty. When you pepper every sentence with profanity, you are advertising intellectual limitations to everyone listening. The most successful business leaders, from Warren Buffett to Tim Cook to Oprah Winfrey, communicate with precision and power without relying on crude language as emotional crutches. True sophistication comes from expressing complex thoughts and strong emotions using precise, powerful vocabulary. When you default to profanity, you are essentially admitting that your education failed to provide you with adequate tools for articulate expression. I watched a potential hedge fund manager lose a $100 million client because he could not complete a presentation without using crude language. The client, old European money, multiple generations of wealth, simply stood up, thanked him for his time, and invested with someone who understood that language reflects character. Expand your vocabulary. Read extensively. Practice expressing strong opinions using sophisticated language that commands respect rather than demanding attention through shock value. These 10 mistakes are not random social rules. They are power dynamics that determine who gains access to wealth, influence, and opportunity. As Proverbs wisely states, a man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. Your preparation in these details determines whether those steps lead toward power or away from it. The elite understand something you are just learning. True power comes from mastering both the visible and invisible rules of social dynamics. Your appearance opens doors, but your etiquette determines whether you stay in the room long enough to close deals. Every mistake I have outlined today is costing you money, relationships, and respect. But knowledge without action is worthless entertainment. Choose 3 of these mistakes that you recognize in yourself. Commit to mastering them completely over the next 30 days. If this content is helping you recognize the gaps between where you are and where you deserve to be, demonstrate your commitment by hitting that like button and subscribing to Man of Elegance. Because elegance without power is just performance, but power without elegance is just brute force. Here is your assignment. Comment below with these 6 words if you found value in this analysis. Class shows in small daily choices. Let me know this resonated with your growth mindset. Consider joining our exclusive Inner Circle, a select community of men who refuse mediocrity and operate by the same standards as the generational wealth families who truly control markets and industries. Click the Become a Member button to access premium content designed specifically for men who understand that excellence is not negotiable. Remember, your competition is making these mistakes every single day. While they stumble through social situations and wonder why opportunities evaporate, you will be positioning yourself as the confident, sophisticated man who belongs in any room he chooses to enter. Fashion is not luxury. It is power, but power combined with flawless etiquette. That combination is absolutely unstoppable. Until next time, stay elegant, stay powerful, and remember, every detail matters when you are building an empire that will outlast your lifetime.